the information, you'll see we are not exaggerating this at all. The U.S. military is now acknowledging that they're able to do it using HAARP, and we found, of course, documents that show radar is used in conjunction with HAARP to do the same thing in the S and C band. Here's an example right here where they were able to do simulation lightning experiments with induced plasma using the MIT S-band and C-band UHF radars. Okay, so there's a perfect document from 1994 showing all the way back in 94 they were doing it. Now, one final thing, if you scroll down through here, when you get down to the bottom of all these pictures, I've got hundreds of them, you'll see pictures going back to the late 90s, which we pulled from Thomas Bearden's old archived site, which no longer exists. It turns out Thomas Bearden, back in the late 90s, was documenting the same radar ring phenomenon, and no one knew about it because he had it backed up on his old site that no one could go on. Now that it's in archives, we're able to go through it and actually save the images. And so just keep scrolling down. You'll see several images from the late 90s going into the early 2000s that show you time after time the same thing that we're experiencing now. And what we're seeing are basically frequency pulses that are causing plasma to be induced or ionization before plasma actually appears, an electrical static buildup that occurs, most likely because the ionization turns into cloud condensation nuclei, CCN. It may be unintentional what they're doing with the radar, or originally was unintentional. And from that, they figured out that they could do it, and now it's done on a daily basis almost across the continental United States. And we've seen very severe weather, very, very strong storms develop from these things. Okay? So I hope that takes you through it, guys. Again, go read the article. I'll link it down below. All the information is down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comment field. And I want to give a big congratulations to all the people over the last 2 years who stuck with it, who didn't just believe the quote-unquote professionals who said it couldn't be done. The radar professionals over at Metabunk, for instance, or any one of these other skeptic sites that said a year ago this could not be done. Well, so much for the professionals and the talking heads. This is why you can't take their word for it. You have to look into it yourself. Okay, we saw something strange appearing on radar over many months, and they denied it and said it couldn't be done, and it was just background clutter, and they gave every explanation in the book for what they said it could be, except for the obvious, which is a pulse appearing over a city, which then a storm comes and hits that pulse within 2 to 3 days. It's undeniable. They accused me of photoshopping this stuff. They accused me of hoaxing this stuff. And it's not a hoax. It's not a Photoshop. The rings really do appear, and storms really do go towards the center of the rings within 2 to 3 days. Okay? And I hope that answers some questions, guys. You'll really enjoy a lot of these pictures because they are very high detailed, and you can go and verify whether or not storms hit these areas within a certain amount of time. That's the other thing. All the date and time stamps are down below. You can see which ones were hits, which ones were misses, etc. Much love. Hang in there. Well, there you heard it, straight from me at the start of this year, showing, without a doubt, the United States Navy did the experiment in the atmosphere, proving that high-frequency microwave, if you will, radar, can produce a heating effect in plasma, which can border in the thousands of degrees temperature. It's already been done. The science is settled. Now it's just a matter of educating the quote-unquote professionals who are already out there in the field who don't have the time to do the research before they talk about something. And really, that's what this boils down to, guys. This video proves it. He has proved 100% wrong. I'm backing up everything that I've showed you so far, and now we're going to go look at the actual examples. What got me into all this? All the previous storms that I've documented, which I listed over here on my Facebook page, link down below, and let's just get right into it. The first thing, the thing that got me going with this was the current typhoon, Typhoon Haiyan, also known as Yolanda. Now the doctor says it's natural, and he says that it formed, the rotation formed before the pulse. Well, the storm wasn't designated until here, October 30th, 1st, 2nd. Well, let's go back to October 30th. Here we are on the 26th, 27th, and 28th. Let me zoom this in so you can see. 26th, up here at the top, 27th, 28th, And going into the 29th, there's our pulse. Wait for it here. It's going to be out here. There you go. Starting on the 29th, and the rotation then kicks up right out of that, and they designated a storm 1 to 2 days later, and then it goes over the Philippines and causes the damage that it caused. This is Typhoon Crosa right here, this darker area that's already spinning. It went up over the northern Philippines, in between Philippines and Taiwan, where the earthquake happened at the same time as it passed. And it was born out of a microwave pulse, the one that I showed you earlier, but let's go back and look. These are all in my examples. I can't believe that the doctor over in the Philippines missed this. So here's an example, Typhoon Crosa. This is a video that I put out. The date and timestamps are undeniable, and I'm showing again the .gov links. Now, let me take the video forward here. Let me mute this so we don't hear it. And I show you clearly in the video. Let me full screen this and turn it on HD for you so you can really see it, so there's no doubt. And there we go. And here we go. So you can clearly see a microwave pulse occurs right there, and that gives birth to the rotation that turns into Crosa. It starts to rotate right after this next frame. And I put all the links down below so you can watch it going into the future. Again, wait for it. You'll see the spiral shape on this, which again I proved was shortwave, or high frequency, I should say. There it goes. It's not some kind of natural anomaly. It comes from up here. It's a directional beam, very large. And that gave birth to Typhoon Crosa. The third time it happened was Typhoon Lekema. These are all recent examples. Typhoon Lekema, born out of the original pulse that I showed you at the start of this video, but let's go forward in the video here and you can see it. And again, let me full screen this, turn it on HD so there's no question. Okay, and here's where I start showing. And we'll go ahead and hit play. There it is. Wait for it. We'll let it play a couple times. There. Zap. And it gave birth to Lekema. You can see the rotation start right after it begins. Wait for it. Two colliding air masses. Hit. And then the rotate starts right in the middle. And that's my video. You guys can go watch this. That's example number 3. And these are all recent. Now we can go down, you guys. We don't have time to go through Sandy and Frankenstorm. That's a whole hour video in itself. However, again, let me just take you over and show you the pulse that occurred into the center of the storm. Watch it. I showed you this earlier in the video. You can even see it back out. It's in there for many hours. Here's the radar pulse that happened again. Okay, here it is on a national view. Here it is zoomed in. You can see the intensity chart and the high decibels of Z, so it's a really loud blast of whatever. We don't know exactly what the frequency is on. We know it's most likely in the megahertz band because that's what NextRed pulses on. Normally operates in the gigahertz, but when it pulses, megahertz, okay? Now that's, of course, Sandy, Frankenstorm, the one that sacked the east coast of the United States. We've got Chantal. You guys can go check this out. Check out Irene. Okay, here's my video. Let me just go ahead and play it for you. August 26, 2011. Here I am showing the world. Okay, let me go ahead and play this for you so you guys can really see this. And this is from 2011 again, guys. There we go. That was going into the center of the storm. You see the storm still pulse after the microwave beam goes into it. And I made note of where it's coming from. It's coming from the direction of Arecibo. And it's undeniable, but that's what led us in to go look into these things. This is all the way back in 2011. It turns out most of these storms have had some kind of microwave interference happen with them, which then leads them in a certain direction. And the heating, I think, proves that they can do it, that it's possible of being done. If you guys don't believe me, after all the evidence that's been shown, then you're really focusing on the personality of trying to listen to a person as opposed to the information. And that kind of leads me to the close of this video. You guys can go listen to the rest of their video. They just then go into climate change, and they start discussing climate change, this amorphous climate change, which we all know is bunk. and that the human-induced activity that I believe is causing the most heating are the high-frequency systems that we've put in place all around the world, from cell phones to Wi-Fi to radar to the high-frequency systems that we're seeing and we're talking about now, are all having a massive cumulative effect upon the planet and the world. And then the targeted systems, which I showed in the video that got me the whole response to begin with, are cumulative. There's so many, and I show that in here. I wasn't name dropping Stanford. Stanford's the VLF. VLF isn't responsible for the high frequency pulse. No, it's a high frequency system that's responsible for the high frequency pulse. Stanford is just a name that was used in the video because we saw the VLF antennas in the video. They are not related. I said it in the video. They're not related, by the way, just in case there was any confusion. I'm going to put a link down below to all of my videos that I would refer to as must-sees in regard to weather modification. And we're talking cloud seeding, we're talking hurricane modification, we're talking tornado making, and we're talking even what we're talking now. I'm going to have to add this in as well. I want to thank you guys for sticking through the whole video and watching. And again, if you're curious, the links are down below. And this should settle any debate, quote unquote, that's being had, because I have fully backed up my position. All right? Much love, folks. Be safe.